Tarun, thank you so much for joining me on Careers Beyond Degree. First and foremost, for agreeing to join me on Careers Beyond Degree, because I know you have a very packed schedule. But thank you so much for that. Please introduce yourself to our viewers and tell us about who you are and a little bit about your entrepreneurial journey.
Thank you. Thank you, Sharika. Thank you for having me on your podcast as well. Thank you very much. So, yeah, as you rightly said, my name is Tarun Maddila. I am from India. So, for your international audiences, I would tell maybe a small story about how I came to the UK. So, I came in to do my master's. So, I have a bachelor's degree back in India. I worked with a corporate company for almost 4 years before jumping into deciding to do my master's degree here at University of Bristol. So my course was Innovation Entrepreneurship, and I started my own company called Slant Sustainable Technologies. I'm the CTO and co-founder of Slant Sustainable Technologies. So a small introduction about Slant. So we are in the micro mobility industry, which is the last mile logistics and last mile delivery industry of the UK. So we do say cargo bike deliveries, so also supporting companies that do cargo bike deliveries, anything in the last mile. So that's what Slant does. So that's the market that Slant is in, and we are developing a product that can basically increase the efficiency of this industry and increase how people carry loads in the last mile sector. And yes, and as our company name suggests, Launch Sustainable Technologies, we are going way into the sustainable sector of the market. And a little about me, I think, came in to do my master's. My bachelor's is in electrical electronics engineering, and yeah, I think that's pretty much it about a small introduction about myself.
Oh, that's lovely. You mentioned Bristol, and we're in the peak time when students are now about to again come to the UK to start their studies, their undergrad and masters. Tell us a little bit about Bristol. Why did you choose Bristol? What was the life like? And how has that kind of inspired you to get into entrepreneurship?
That's good. To be honest, it was not a very planned decision. To be honest, about Bristol. So Bristol, the city is beautiful. It's a very historic at the same time very progressive city. Sustainable transport and anything related to bike industry. The city has been really helpful, and I also feel Bristol has now been awarded the best place for startups in the UK. So that's also something that has actually helped me a lot in my entrepreneur journey in the last 3 years here. Bristol, I would say weather-wise, it's really good. At times, yeah, of course, the UK weather hits in, and it's at times very wet. But other than that, weather-wise, is really good. People progressive, very. I would say you don't feel that you are in a different place because there's a lot of people. There's a very progressive nature in that aspect when it comes to Bristol. So Bristol is a very beautiful city, and I enjoyed my whole master's course here at University of Bristol as well because I had this wonderful course called Innovation Entrepreneurship. So that's what I did here at University of Bristol.
Did you know beforehand when you left India that you wanted to get into entrepreneurship, or was this just a course you wanted to take up and then see how it goes?
So my background being very technical. I worked as a in the corporate company also. I was very much into the product development and technical background. So that's my job. But during COVID time, I did my MBA, so which was a very distant MBA, and that was focusing on entrepreneurship, and that's where I was like, oh, that's quite interesting for me. I don't have a entrepreneurship background. A family background is not onto entrepreneurship. My dad has been into a proper full 9 to 5 jobs. My mom being a housewife. I've never been onto the entrepreneurship side at all. But it was during the MBA that it kind of triggered me. That's something that I have to learn, and that kind of made me quite interested. And there was something in me that made me feel there is something that I have to explore in entrepreneurship. So what's the best thing that I could do? Being from the corporate company, I thought, okay, let's do something and learn something related to entrepreneurship, and that was the reason why I chose the degree called entrepreneurship at University of Bristol. Or why I chose the course at University of Bristol, it was basically because it was more of a hands-on here at university. So Bristol's innovation course is not at all exam related. It was not at all dissertation related. It was more of, okay, can you do something in real life? What can you do? And I was fortunate enough to be one of those student who got £10,000 as a award, which which helped me start Slant Sustainable Technology. So it was University of Bristol, the course, and one of the awards called Runway Award, which enabled me to start Slant Sustainable Technology. So that was the first money. So it was nothing coming from my family or my pocket. It was basically university helping me with the course, with the amount that we started with.
Wow, that's wonderful. We kind of have similar journeys. So when I left India to study here and do my master's, I had no entrepreneurial plans, especially not in the UK. I was very fussed about that if I ever start anything, it has to be India. I will do it for my country and all of that. And eventually, during my university, I think by the end of it, I got onto the Warwick incubator and I thought, hey, I want to start something. I mean, I had ideas, but it was not the time I wanted to start. I was only 21 then, and it was not something on my mind as well. But yeah, I think I also kind of jumped onto my entrepreneurial instincts around university time, and I was like, okay, let me give it a go now and see how this goes. And there was a lot of support provided by Warwick again, which was great. They gave me that platform to continue to be here and build my venture and launch it eventually. But that's wonderful to know. If somebody is coming to Bristol, say for example, what are the three places, especially for Indians, what are the three food places or restaurants that you'd recommend them where you go like often?
That's a good question. I should start asking maybe some money from the restaurants that I'm gonna right now say. No, so in terms of restaurants, I feel there's this very beautiful restaurant called Papu Dosa, which is the story is really beautiful because it was an English couple who came in, who went to India for a holiday or a vacation. They loved the food. They wanted to stay there. They took some vegan recipes, came here, and they make the best dosas and chutneys. Me being from South India, I feel like they do it a better job than most of the Indian restaurants here. So that's one restaurant that I would definitely go for. The second, of
Wow.
course, there's a restaurant called Nutmeg. That's a very very nice restaurant, city center, a bit expensive, but yeah, it is what it is here. And the third one, I would maybe say Tikana. Tikana is a very good restaurant here. So yeah, these are the three Indian restaurants that I would definitely go in Bristol.
Oh my gosh, you started talking about dosa and my mouth started watering and I'm already thinking about it now. It's
Yeah.
funny, I might just order one after this one because I live close to like multiple restaurants and dosa is like a 30 seconds away from me. So I can literally just go down and grab a dosa. So now that's what I'm thinking about for lunch.
Oh, that's good. Yeah, those are. You should.
Yeah. So during university, you've also mentioned that on your LinkedIn, you've mentioned that you were a student ambassador. And I see a lot of students also engage in these kind of roles. How much of a role do you think that played in your entrepreneurial life or your motivation to become one? And then what was the role like? Why would you recommend some new students to, get onto this role? What does it help with to become a student ambassador?
Being a student ambassador, I think it was quite handy because being a student ambassador, there's a lot of trust that you'll have to build when you start talking to new students. So when you pitch something, to build the trust and to gain the trust is something that I learned during my student ambassadorship, because you talk to a lot of students, lot of variety of students, and getting them to trust into something that you say, and then you talk about, okay, not only the pros but also the cons about anything. Actually, so that's something that I learned, because being an entrepreneur, you'll have to pitch a lot of ideas every time, and every time when you say, hey, why should you invest into the company, is not as good as why should you not invest in this company. And then as an investor, if they listen to you, why should I not invest, they kind of get the cons of it, and then they see, okay, this is why I should. So these kind of bits were actually something that I picked up when I was a student ambassador. And again, student ambassadorship is actually something that I think most of the students should do, because from the university's point of view, they kind of support you, they give you opportunities so that you can actually tell the stories when you're an ambassador. So ambassador also, like, you get paid, of course, that's something that happens. At the same time, the university would support you to come up with good stories and come up with good ideas, so that the whole course could be sold well. So that's something that I felt student ambassadorship actually gave me.
Do you recommend it?
Ooh, definitely 100%, yeah.
Yeah. And who does one have to reach out to if they want to become a student ambassador, say particularly in University of Bristol?
So it was through the coast coordinator that I got my ambassadorship job that I applied for. So it was through the coordinator that I got, and I'm pretty sure that's how it should be done. More in University of Bristol, you talk to your coordinator, say that I want to be an ambassador because I feel this is really good, and I feel that I have some stories to talk, and then they would actually call you to become an ambassador. Okay, it's simple here.
Yeah. Yeah, a lot of things are very straightforward over here, isn't it?
Yeah, it's not as complicated as I thought before
Yeah.
coming, because I was really stressed about when I came here, because I had this corporate time, and then I was away from education for 4 years, and then I was really stressed about, okay, how would I match up and cope up with other students. But it
Yeah.
wasn't that difficult. It was straightforward. If you're ready to hard work, I think it's actually straightforward.
Right. Got it. You've also been actively working with a lot of innovative projects. And I will come to the whole Innovator Founder scheme and how you got onto that. But how do you define innovation?
Hmm. I think this is a question that I've been asked a couple of times, and I've been trying to maybe define innovation in my words. But every time I come up with a definition, it just changes every day. So innovation, I would say that, okay, even now, even if I give a definition, it's not going to be that. If you ask me the next time that that you meet me, but from at least at this point of time, I feel innovation is obviously a novel idea solve, but it's all about solving real problems the way people care about. So it's not about having a very new idea. That's not innovation. That's novelty. So that's a different thing. But it's about, okay, how much does people care about that new idea? So it's the caring bit. How many people would actually get affected? How many people are ready to use it? So that's the bit that I feel is innovation. So if you have an idea that people care about and people want it, that's what I think is innovation.
Can you differentiate a regular idea from an innovative idea, do you think?
Definitely, definitely. So I think that so during my course, I think that's what I picked up really well. So being an engineer, I was always thinking of solving problems, but it's not about solving problems. That's not an innovative idea. The idea is to find the problem that has to be solved. That's a two different thing. If I would say it's a thin line, but that's a two different worlds altogether. If you jump onto different sides, so if you can find the exact real good problem that you solve, you'll have customers, you'll have market, and if that happens, then that's innovation. Now, to answer your question, I would say solving problems is not what innovation is. It's finding the right problem to solve is what innovation is. That's what I feel innovation is. So there's a small or a thin line between the two things. It's two worlds, like day and night, if you go into those two sides, but it's a very thin line to understand what's the difference. So what I would say is, so if you have a good idea, and if you can come up with a worst way to perform it or show it, and still if people are interested to use it, I think that's where you say that, okay, you have solved a problem that's actually worth solving. I can take a story from Y Combinator that I came through. Most of your audience might also know about that. So if a person is actually having a fire on their hair, basically if their head is burning with fire, even if you give them a brick, they'll start hitting on their head to get that fire off. So even if it's not a very good solution, if they start hitting it and using your solution, that means you're actually solving a problem that's really needed to be solved. The next stage is, okay, you can go ask them, okay, if you found it useful, and they would definitely say yes, the brick was useful, but my head was paining because I was hitting with the brick on my head. And then you can evolve it and say, okay, maybe let me give you a wet cloth next time so that it's softer. And then they hit it with a wet cloth, and then they say that, okay, it is not fast enough. And then you can give a cup of water or a bucket of water. So it's about, okay, is there a problem that really needs solution? If you can find that solution, that means your idea is innovative. So it's again, the brick is innovation is what I feel. It's not that cup of water or a bucket of water is innovation. I feel the brick itself is innovative if you have solved a problem that actually needs solution. So that's my take. I think I might have complicated it, but I think that's what I call innovation, and I think that's what innovation has to be.
Oh, that's an interesting analogy, because I see a lot of founders struggling. And again, a very frequently asked question has to be, what is innovation? Is my idea innovative or not? And how do I differentiate between any idea and an innovative idea? But how you put it is really smart, because I tend to also advise by saying, look for a problem. It starts with a problem, find a problem. But another factor, that one step ahead that one founder needs to go, is that instead of just finding a problem, you need to also find the problem that needs a solution. And then you actively work on an innovative solution to solve it, and not just look at any problem, because there's thousands of problems. Like anything that could be a problem, but it's important to just understand that that problem needs to be solved.
Exactly, exactly. That's the point. If it needs to be solved, and if you are giving even the worst solution for that, that's innovative. That's what I feel like.
Yeah.
There are certain things that you feel this is not the smartest idea, but that is still innovation because that has solved a big problem.
Yeah.
So that's what I feel innovation is. Yes.
So, for somebody who is looking for innovative ideas, what would you recommend them? How to go about it? What would the first step be? I am blank right now. How do I find an innovative idea?
It's testing. It's always about testing, and I think that's what my expertise is also about. So if you okay, I do understand if someone is very blank, it might be hard, but then you can walk through your journey and understand what problem you are facing. I can maybe start with the story of Slant Sustainable Technologies, how we came up. This is a problem that most of the international students, especially your audience, would be experiencing. Being an international student, you would not have a car, or you wouldn't have a taxi or money to actually take a taxi after a big shopping of yours. You go to Lidl or big supermarkets, you have a lot of things to carry, and the minute you walk from the supermarket to your house with all of these bags, and every time your finger hurts, you see that that's a problem. Then the next thing that you do is you kind of understand or try to find if this problem is just for you, or is there someone else who have that problem. Don't even think of a solution. Don't even think of a solution. The first thing that you have to do is ask and talk to other people. Ask if they have the same problem. If you find 10 people who face the same problem, that means you have come up to that innovation's first step, that now it is about solution. Give the simplest solution. You don't have to think of smart things. You can just talk about, okay, can we take a shopping trolley from the supermarket and go all the way to their houses? Can that be done? Can I rent supermarket trolleys from supermarkets all the way to the house? And that's how Slant started. And we were like, yeah, why not we do that? And then the problem was we actually tested it. We stood in front of supermarkets, put a 5 pound board and said, okay, if you want, you can take this trolley all the way to your house and we'll bring it back. There were 4 people who actually did it in the first week. Yeah, we do understand four is not a big number in a week because most of them come in a car. But people who walk towards that, they actually felt that's a problem. And then during the walk towards their house, we started asking them, okay, how can we make it better? They said, okay, make the wheels bigger because the shopping trolley wheels are really small. You cannot take it out. So all of these are like very cheap ways to prove that you have an innovative idea. If people are ready to pay with the most efficient way or way to prove your idea, it works. And then we kind of designed a product that can be actually electrified. You can just push with it, and then it kind of understands how much force you're applying, and then you can go all the way to the supermarket, I mean to your house, and then we bring it back. So that's how the whole Slant ideology started. But yeah, we have pivoted drastically from that day. But that's how you identify problems. Another problem that I think I kind of solved was another startup that I started, Tiffit, which is basically me who finds it very hard to cook, and me who sees a lot of home cooks selling food through WhatsApp and Facebook. I was like, see, I don't know them. How can I get food from them? Is there an app where I can actually order food from home cooks here? So this was a problem that I faced, and I think that was where I and my co-founder Janani, we actually started another startup called Tiffit. So it's always about looking for problems, and if you have a problem, and if you think 10 people feel that's a problem, you've reached that first step. I would say always start with problem, never start with the solution. Solution comes in, it evolves, and it just comes in. But the minute you start with the solution, you'll start falling in love with the solution, and you cannot think out of the box. But if you fall in love with the problem, you'll have hundreds and thousands of solutions coming in.
No, I absolutely agree with that. And then when you mentioned about carrying those packs, I've been there. I was an international student once, and thankfully, the grocery store I used to go to was like literally 2 to 5 minutes away from my place. But eventually, I did stay far away from the city center, and I had to carry those groceries. And even today, the grocery store is not very close to me. There's plenty of restaurants around me, but not a grocery store. So there have been times when I thought, oh, let me just walk. Why do I need to spend like 4 or 5 pounds on a cab now? And I would be carrying these big bags, or maybe one stage where I've invested a lot of money into the startup. So I'm broke now. So how do I get money for the cab? No way. So let's walk. And then you're carrying these bags, and thankfully I go to the gym, so I still have some strength. But I did not used to, like a year and a half ago, and it was torturous. I still remember it wasn't fun. And my sister moved to the UK 1.5 years ago, and I remember I was like, okay, I'll sort you out. I know how to do all of this, and I went shopping for her to like B&M and all the stores where I can get her the basic stuff like plates and spoons, and I had two big bags, and it was really it was a bit far in Oxford where I was shopping in and where she was. And I was like, I'm not paying £15. And the cabs are more expensive in Oxford as well. And I was like, I'm not paying £15. And then I'm waiting for the bus. And then I'm stood there alone because she was not feeling well. So I just went ahead. So this is a great initiative. I am somebody who's faced this problem on a weekly basis.
Oh,
Thankfully, sometimes I'm able to sponsor my cabs and I'm like, okay, I'll just take the cab, just go on and shop. But most of the times I do have to walk and it is not easy. And it is really good that you even thought about this, because when you were mentioning it, I instantly connected it to the idea of Lime bikes. So,
hmm.
you can pick it up from anywhere and drop it anywhere. But similarly, if you've got groceries, how about you can put it on there and then push it? It could even become like a cool thing in the future where students are carrying their or pushing their bikes and reaching their houses. And there's like a stand over there where you can park them. And somebody else who's closer to that particular grocery store can pick something up and go from there. So, yeah,
Exactly.
that's a.
That was a starting point. But again, when it comes to a business, it's always about, okay, you have a very innovative idea, you've solved the problem. So it's called the desirability. There's a desirability, like as you were telling, you love it, everyone loves it. So desirability is there. But then there is this
Yeah.
viability and scalability there. So now how is this viable? How do I make 2,000 of these? Because I don't have money. Where do I get the money from? Where how much would everyone pay? So that was a nightmare. I fell into this whole big pit of, okay, this business is not going to be working. So good product, but this you cannot do that, because paying £2 for every time, then there is this vandalism. What if people take it and throw it off, or how would it return back? Because every time you want a load, a carrying solution is when you are in the supermarket. You go home, you drop it off there, and how or who would bring it back? So that was a big question. So it's all about viability, and I think Innovator Founder Visa that actually questions these three aspects. It's about, okay,
Yeah.
desirable, viable, and feasible. So the viability was something, a big concern of ours, and we thought, okay, why not we do it at student accommodations rather than giving it to supermarkets? Because then someone can take it, because if you know you're going to a supermarket, he can take it from the student accommodation, go all the way to supermarket, do all the shopping, and bring that back all the way down. But again, then the questions were like, scalability. How do you scale? How do you go to different places? How would different student accommodation do it? Who owns it? Does the student accommodation own it? There are so many questions that come in, and then we had to pitch or throw that idea off, and then we had to be like, okay, let's do a B2C product. We'll sell it to consumers. So that's how Slant evolved into, because all of this is because I found that there's a load carrying as a problem. I did not fall in love with the solution that, okay, I want to do something like Lime Bike did. So I thought, okay, let me do a B2C consumer. So that's how the pivot happened. I thought, okay, let people buy it out of us. So people were like, why would I buy this just to walk? I was like, okay, let's not make it walk alone, because it's pull and push. I thought, let's attach it to normal bicycles. And the data said that's good, because a lot of people go to work on bicycles, do everything on bicycle, but only when they go for shopping or camping, they kind of have to take a van or a car or take a Uber. So I was like, okay, why not my trailer or my shopping cart be attached to a bicycle? And that's how we evolved into, okay, let's make it that can be attached to bicycles. So we were like, okay, let's do that. The whole product now increased, the cost and all of that happened, and then the price increased to £3,000 to get one trailer. And the B2C consumers were not very happy. No one would spend £3,000. People are finding it difficult to spend £3 or £4 extra for a cab. No one is going to put 3,000. And that's where again the next pivot happened. We were like, okay, who would want this? People who can make money out of this are the people who want this. And that's where we again pivoted to be like, okay, there are people and there are companies that do last mile deliveries like Amazon parcels and all of that. They are currently doing it in big vans. They spend 10,000, 20,000 to buy a van and then do deliveries in the city center. why not build a trailer kind of a thing that can be attached onto their bikes? They can do deliveries in the city center. This is now going to be much more cost efficient. It is going to be much more easier for them. Now they can also detach it from the bike and go into an apartment and do the deliveries. So that's how Slant Sustainable Technologies kind of pivoted always. So we knew that we have a solution, and then we kind of found, okay, there's a problem, and we found, okay, how to change the solution in such a way that it still addresses the problem of carrying loads from. So yeah, the story started from me not able to be carrying loads from the supermarket. Now we are talking to Royal Mail here so that the Royal Mail people can actually start taking their mails and parcels. So that's the whole evolution of Slant.
That's so inspiring. And the beauty of having a startup is, at least I find it very beautiful, that every time something doesn't work, you don't have to call it a failure. You can call it a pivot. And it teaches you so much, like so much. It's very depressing in the moment that, oh shit, I worked so hard on this and now this is not working. But the amount of lessons it gives you and the direction it gives you, which takes you from here to here in no time. I mean, a lot of time has been spent, but you get what I mean. Like, and then that pivot can teach you so much. And just how you mentioned about your journey, where it started and where it is today. And I think every startup kind of has that story of their own where they started with something, and then and the second biggest important part is, of course, market assessment. And the most people you speak to and more of your customers, potential customers you speak to, you understand that it was just my problem, but maybe this is the added problem. Oh, but this happens in this situation only, so maybe I need to work towards that, and everything starts to switch and it starts falling in place. And that's when the solution comes in. You mentioned earlier that don't be obsessed about the solution, because that's not even important right now. What's important is to actually be obsessed about the problem and understand it in detail, and then go ahead and also speak to people. And once you've spoken to enough people, you know, okay, there is something that I can work on now, and probably then start thinking about the solution.
Yes, I would like to add one more point. Talking to people is really important, but it has to be done very carefully. There has been so many instances where people said this is the best idea that they ever saw. They said that's $1 million idea, but if I had followed that and if I had just been following their words, it would. I'm pretty sure I would have failed way faster than I have. I have failed a couple of times, but pretty sure I would have failed drastically, because this is something that most of the innovate or people who want to start startups, they kind of talk to people and they hear something, they kind of praise them, and then you fall in love with that idea, and then you are not ready to change. So one of the example that I learned when I was doing my master's course is with Sony. So and I think it was 1979 when Sony came up with the first Walkman. They had this classic, very beautiful Walkman when they launched in 1979. And then after 5 years, the Sony team were like, okay, we have to introduce something very sporty, very, very cool looking, want to come into the new generation people. And they brought in this yellow, very sporty looking, very, very sharp looking Walkman. And what they did was they asked a lot of people, like how we would do. They asked a lot of people, a lot of potential customers, would you buy that? And all the customers, like, they had a big meeting where they got 120 participants into one meeting. They showed both of the product and said, which one would you do? And most of them, especially the surveys and interviews, all of them said, we would go with the sporty one. This looks cool, this looks young, and everything was really good. And what happened was, at the end of the event, at the end of this interview, they had given a box filled with the classic looking and the sporty looking ones. And after the event, they were free to take any of it, whatever they wished. And most of the people actually took the classic one and not the sporty one. And that was completely like opposite to what the surveys and the interview said. And it was the bias in the people, where they did not want to feel that they are old and they are not sporty looking. They did not want to tell it out loud that they like the classy looking, but they wanted to sound, I'm more of a sporty, more of a young gen. But most of them took the classy, and thus Sony actually postponed the sporty looking one to a classy looking one, and they continued that. So these kind of market research and market data is quite important. Even like a lot of people come to me asking, hey, my survey says 120% of my people love this. Like, but that's only on a survey. How many people are ready to pay? Like, so if you have ideas, if you want to test around out your ideas, I would always say, put a payment link, let people pay. You can pay back the money and say that, sorry, my product is not ready, but ask them to pay. If people are ready to pay, that's when you understand that, okay, you have got that innovative, the problem is actually worth solving. If no one is paid, I think, please, your idea has to be changed or pivoted. So that's what I feel.
That also brings me to the next question, which is innovation, scalability, and viability, which is a very, very important aspect of the whole Innovator Founder scheme. And I'm glad that we discussed how important having a problem is, or figuring out what the problem is, and then the market assessment. And you have touched upon scalability and viability. But if you can say in a few words, what is innovation, what is scalability, and what is viability, especially keeping in mind that this is for viewers who want to apply for the Innovator Founder, how would you define the three?
So how I talk to my, like, when people talk to me about, okay, how do I get an endorsement letter or an Innovator Founder Visa, I say that your business should have something called a visa, which is VISA. So V stands for viability. So viability is all about, are people paying, or are people happy to pay you? I do understand that, okay, the book says viability is more of, hey, do you have enough money to run through? All of that is important. Yes, of course, you have to have a good team. All of that is there, and that's already noted down. So people have to follow that. But the crucial bit is, are people actually paying, or do you think people would pay that? Are you solving a problem that's worth the money that you think you're solving? Just like the Slant example I said, I did not feel that £3,000 is something that I am solving for. When you carry grocery bags, they would maybe do an Uber Eats, or I mean delivery to your house with groceries. So it's about, okay, are people happy to pay that money for you to solve that problem? So that's the viability bit that I think the people have to follow, and you have to have proofs for that. I stands for innovation. I think I've already explained innovation more than what they would want to hear. And then I would say scalability. So I do this metrics of, so you know your market. If, for example, for now I talk about a Slant, or say any product that you have. So for your listeners, if you have that idea in your mind, you know your market. You know, okay, there is this market that's going to be there throughout my world, or it could be a European product, or an idea that is going to be scaled throughout the UK. So how I take it is, think of that random person who you have no idea about, is in the complete opposite side of where you live. For example, I say I'm being in Bristol. I say, okay, in the Midlands of in Scotland, there's this person. Would, or how would I reach him? Is that possible, or would he use me, or would he use my idea? How would I reach that person? Is it difficult to reach that person? Because I have no idea. I have no idea to contact him. I don't have his number. I don't even know his name. How will he know about me? If I have an answer, and that answer is cheap, then you are scalable. Think of like someone at, an auntie at Slant, maybe Isle of Wight. How will I reach them? How will I talk to them? If the answer is cheap, if it's not that, okay, I have to arrange a big marketing agency and then you have to ship everything there, it's not scalable. So that's how I measure a company's scalability. So if you're having an app, yes, it is easier. You can do more of a Play Store, and App Store. That's how you'll reach the customers. But if it's a product, it's harder, so you'll have to think about that as well. So it's scalability, again, viability, as I mentioned, innovation. And then for the visa, the A is more of approvals, or how much can people approve to whatever you have written. So that's what I would say for an Innovator Founder Visa. I think that's the highest and the hardest bit. So when you say it is innovative, okay, would people, especially when someone is reading it with a dark eyeglass in front of you, trying to reject every point you say, how will you make him or her accept that, yeah, what I say is true? So when I say it is very viable, you have to tell, why do you think it is viable? They should feel, or they should feel like accepting it. And for that, it's all about proof, 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 proof. Everything you have to put proofs in when you say things. So when I say, hey, I'll sell my product for £1,500, you have to give them proofs why you think 1,500 is worth. I can say, okay, see, 7 people paid or pre-ordered it. That's a very good proof. Which means, like, even before they got the solution, they paid. That means that now, yeah, you can say that your product is 1,500. You cannot just take a random number and say, okay, now this is how much they will buy for. Innovator Founder Visa doesn't work that way. They really need proofs.
Right. And I think you mentioned the story that you gave about how Sony defined and how they surveyed their customers, and what they said was very different to what they chose and paid for eventually, or picked up even when it was free. I think that kind of defines a lot of early problems that founders have when they're planning to apply for the Innovator Founder, because I tend to tell them, or they ask me questions like, how do I prove what I'm doing? Like you said, proof is so important. And I absolutely agree with that. And then they would have these surveys where the questions will be like so close ended, yes or no. How do you decide yes or no? And then you say that, yes, your idea is innovative. And the approach that you mentioned and the way that you mention it, I feel that kind of will help a lot of founders open their minds up to the kind of surveys they should create and the kind of questions they should ask. This was something that on the podcast with Keith from Innovator International, he also mentioned that make sure that the surveys or the questionnaires that you create, the questions are open ended and you're not trying to tell them, this is what I'm working on. Would you buy it? No. Ask them questions around that problem so that they're able to better address your questions and you get better understanding of whether this problem actually exists and whether this person eventually will pay for it, £2 or £200. So that was a great example. And like you mentioned, proof, that everything is about proof. Don't just say my idea is innovative. How do you think a new founder can create those proofs? And this is, so for example, a new, recent graduate, how does that person create proofs? He's only starting out, he's only written a business plan, and he or she doesn't know what are the next steps. So what can they create as proof in order to get an endorsement?
Very good question. So I'll talk about my journey because when Slant came in, I applied for my Innovator Founder Visa just after my master's course was over because I had a very good idea. I thought my idea is the best, and people did say that it's $1 million idea. I even got some funding, like £10,000 to start my own idea. I applied for an Innovator Founder Visa and I was just rejected the first go. So my story is I got a rejection and then I had to work out my way, build proofs and build or make sure that my storyline was the is acceptable for a assessor. So the ways, and I especially feel like at this point of time with all this AI growing and this tech growing, it's very easy to prove things. Like you can bring up a website in say 3 hours max. You can do a pre-order website in say maximum half a day or one full day. You get those things. So if you think you so there are people who feel I have a very good idea, I want to sell it. Yeah, make a very good CAD file of it, make a good picture of it or whatever you have, and put it in a website and ask people to pay. If people are happy to pay, if they are sending you money, and then you can send them back the money. But that's a way to prove that this market needs me or this market needs the solution. And don't force the market to buy it. Maybe you'll call your friends and say, okay, pay, that's you cheating yourself because that doesn't work because it's your life. You're going to spend 3 years. It's not only about getting an Innovator Founder Visa. After that, there's a lot of things that you have to work out and you have to meet some milestones by the end of 3 years. So if that has to be true, you have to be true to yourself. So that's a very good way to prove. And sometimes there are a lot of like people I talk to who are into software companies. They say, I don't have a software. How do I do it? Take the key feature of that software, try to mimic it through wireframes, ask people can they use it. I was talking to this person who wanted to make a AI for legal aspects. I was like, okay, let's build a chatbot, use it behind, you be the AI, try talking to customers. Let's see if customers are happy to pay £3 for you to get a contract done. You write the contract. Let's not get AI doing it because getting an AI, especially, you'll need a lot of money and time. And don't wait for the final good product. You tell them that our AI is getting trained. We need some more time, and then you sit and type it. It could be like your friends or your team that's doing the AI bit behind, just to prove that this market exists. There is one example about a survey that I was actually. It was a friend of mine who did a survey. The questions were so stupid. I was like, really? This are these the questions that you would ask for any interview? And then the funny part was he had almost 35 questions, and all were open ended, but all the questions were almost the same. I was like, this is not how you set up a survey. And he was like, see, my motive is not to find the answers. I wanted to see people spending time answering all the 35 questions and ending at the last question. If there were like at least 50 people who ended and went up till 35th question, spending 1 hour, that means that 35 people are actually interested, or like 10 people are interested to get the solution to that. or they feel I want something. So that's a very good way. So that's something that I use for my other company, Tiffit, where I wanted to find if home cooks wanted a platform like this. What I did was I created, like, I made ChatGPT questions, all very long mandatory questions for say 40 questions. They had to spend almost 1 hour. They could not skip any question. They went all the way, and I didn't get a lot of response. I got maybe 14 or 15 responses who ended up till the end. And I understood that if 14 people actually spend 1 hour answering all the questions and reaching at the end, that just means that there is this market who are actually doing anything to get a solution to that. So you will have to be creative to get these or prove these. So if you want to prove, you have to prove it in an indirect way like these. You might have to do the jugaad way to get people to prove that, yeah, my idea is good, people are ready to pay, people really feel this is a problem. So all of that comes in with a smart way to user research or market test.
Right. First of all, congratulations for getting the Innovator Founder Visa endorsement.
Thank
And
you.
I have been aware of your journey as we spoke before. The rejection must have been hard. Could you talk us through what the process was like when you first thought, okay, let me apply for it, but the first one went down? How did you start preparing for the second one, and what did the process look like?
That's good because I was very disappointed. So what happened was, when I came to the UK, I was planning to come back to India. So I had not resigned my job when I came here. I had given a 1 year leave, like a sabbatical leave. So I was all prepared to
Hmm.
go back when I came here to do my masters. And during my masters, as I said, a lot of people said very good things about me and my team and the idea and all of that. And I was like, wow, this is a very good idea. I'm 100% going to get this endorsement letter. So I resigned my job there. So I threw off my backup plan. That's the first step that I did. And then I applied for an endorsement letter, and then I got a rejection. That was really, really bad, because then I was like, okay, now I cannot stay in this country for longer. But then fortunately, because of the master's course, I got a PSW. And when I got a rejection, what happened was I decided not to give up, but rather I was like, I want an endorsement letter. Even if I don't stay in this country, I want an endorsement letter, because I felt that rejection was something like, that rejection was basically a rejection to my entrepreneurship career itself, because I was like, should I take entrepreneurship or should I not? If the country says no, you're not good as an entrepreneurship. So that's the first mindset, or that's what actually troubled me. I was like, I'm not giving up. I went through all the reviews and they were very good. So if someone of your audience, they feel that they have got a rejection, please don't take it as a bad way, because that if you can actually work on it, if you can fix those, you can actually apply it one more time. And that's the exact same thing that I did. So I read the whole problem, I understood why they felt this is not as innovative and scalable and viable. And it wasn't that it wasn't scalable, viable, or innovative. It was that I could not give enough proofs, and
Hmm.
which they felt that's true. I mean, I feel that's true, and that's what that they felt, because they were not sure that I would be able to raise money. So my main goal was, okay, we have to raise money. What do I do to raise money? I have grant applications that I want to do. So I started applying for grants. So that was one thing. They were talking about, okay, it's not viable because a Slant was then like, you take it from the supermarket, go to some place and leave it there. How do you bring it back? So I have to think of that, and that was actually one of the reason why we pivoted also, because bringing it back according to the assessor, it wasn't a logical thing. And then later we understood it was not a logical thing, because I did not go against it. But I also feel I'm fortunate enough to have got rejected in that business model, that now I don't have to think of it. I got my business fixed right, so that now it's in a direction that I'm getting a lot of traction. People are happy to pay. We are doing our pilots. We've applied for our patent. So all of that is falling in place because I had that pivot. And I would thank my first rejection. So that's how when I look back, that's how I see it.
That's so positive of you. And what about the second time when you applied? Was it a new business plan that you applied with, or was it the feedback report that you just reverted back to and said, okay, I want to apply again?
It was a new business plan, to be very honest. But the idea was the same, the core was the same, but it was the business plan. It was the way you sell the product. It's more of who are you selling it. There was a difference in the market. There was like, I could prove why this market wanted me more than some normal consumer. I could say that, hey, people are spending money, say 10 to 15,000 pounds to buy a van to do last mile logistics because they are making profit. I want to reduce that 10,000 to this money. And why do I think I can do it? Because this is the product, this is the pilot product. This is where I got letter of intents from people to test it. This is the letter of intents to pay. This is the letter of intents to buy. So all of these proofs of what I worked for the last 2 years, 1.5 years to show that this market exists, and I had that backing up. Grants were a big backup, because if the government thinks that this idea is good, because most of the grants are by the government, and here in the UK they really support entrepreneurs and anything that's very new. They support you very much. It's about how much open you are into looking into those aspects. So that's one thing that I would say. Yeah, it was a little change in the business model, but finally the product was the same. The idea was the same. It was more of a business model that we had changed.
Right. I'm going to get into the details of this process now, because I think a lot of people just want to know about what the Innovator Founder Out consists of and how to go about it. How did you start writing a business plan? I mean, did you always know how to do it, or did you just chat GPT'd it?
Okay. So I knew how to do it because that was what I learned. So it was my
Yes.
master's in innovation entrepreneurship. So one of the whole my thing was one of my module was writing business plans. That's how focused it was, like how to write it, how to face it, how to. But then now with ChatGPT coming in, I'm not at all against ChatGPT. I feel ChatGPT is in a very good stage where that it can help or aid you to build your business model, but please don't make it write your business model. That's what I would say. So my process was, I knew how to write a business plan, or I knew what was required, but I did use the references from my previous rejections where I knew how it went bad or what went wrong. I used those bits and made sure that that's hit properly. I gave a lot of proofs on the innovation, viability, and scalability. I also showed that, see, the ideas going forward, because I had built the prototypes, I had shown people, and I had that proof as well. So it was all about making the assessor accept what I said, and for that you need proofs. And the whole 1 year of journey, or the whole thing that I did, was making proofs and proofs and proofs and proofs, so that my whole idea was backed up. So it's about, yeah, you have a very good idea, but you have to keep like pillars to support it, and for that you have to have all of those strings pulled in. And unfortunately now I've been, and again, because we have been applying for grants as well, we know how to write certain questions and answers. So fortunately we have won some grants as well, and that enabled us to understand how to write certain questions. What are they listening to? What are they wanting to read? That's something that we knew, and that's how we actually started phrasing our business plan. And again, it wasn't that difficult. Once the business plan went on, I think it was just like 3 weeks max. They went through it, and then they gave me a positive reply. I did not even get a question back except for one or two proofs. I did say that I had it, but I did not upload certain things. So that uploading was the only things that I had to do, and it was quite easy once I knew the hang of once I got the hang of it. And I've been helping a couple of people, couple of companies after that. My co-founder also got an endorsement letter. We actually helped another people. So now I think we have got the hang of it. We know how to do it. So that's something that is there.
Wow, that's wonderful. And I think the best part about any new founder or any founder or any business is when they start giving back. And I love that, because we've all had these journeys where we've learned so much on our own, and we've had those falls and those failures and those pivots. And I really enjoy when I see another founder give back to the community to say, don't do it like this, do it like this, because this worked for me. So you can just save on that time and the money and those disappointments that we've already gone through, in a way.
Yes, I would completely agree. I would say in the startup journey from the corporate, because I've been comparing corporate with startup. The corporate life is always like you go slowly up, but in the startup, if you try to draw a graph, the falls are very bad. When you fall down really high. And similarly, at the same time, when you go up, you're actually rising way faster. So the curves are, so the tangents or the slopes are really strong in both of that case. So in the startup life, and every time you fall, the chances of you getting up and rising is really hard. And I was even like talking to my co-founder recently, that we would obviously thank a lot of people who have gone through the journey and helped us not fall so deep, so that we could come up faster. So I think that's something that we would want to give out to the community as well, because there are a lot of startup people. They've been working really hard, they've been working part-time, and their startups, so it's really hard that they're going through. And if we can do something so that their drops are not as sharp, it'll be great. And I think Shiva, you're doing really really good in that aspect. Your careers beyond degree is something that's really helpful to a lot of people here.
Thank you so much. Thank you for that. In terms of the business plan, just a quick few elements. Like you mentioned that you can give proofs. We've got to that point. What are some important aspects of the business plan that you would say should be there? Like what are some headings that one should not forget adding to the business plan?
This is quite straightforward. Financials is very, very, very important. Financials is the way you could say, okay, it's like the backbone. It's like the bones. If the financials break, the whole body falls down. Yeah, you have to have a beautiful skin, all the organs, all of that should be there. But I would say the skeleton is the financials. The financials is something that people ask. That's very good, but even a small slight mistake in your financials would be really, really hurting you later. Because if you say, hey, you're going to make so much money, they'll be like, are you sure? Because because a lot of people are very optimistic about their financials. They'll give this number, and that's the minute the assessor will be like, okay, this is not going to happen. They're not even happy to read. At the same time, if you do it very low, that's again not a worthy business for the country here to keep you here for the next 3 years. So the number has to be really sweet. At the same time, you'll have to uh, so financials is something that you can use to say that you have thought enough. I'll give you one example where my co-founder is into finance, and he, because I'm in the technical side and he takes care of the business side, Artemis. So he's a very finance guy. So when I said, okay, I need a product, I need a storage space, so this I was like, okay, storage space would cost me £1,000 every year because I have to pay the rent. And then I was going next, and he comes back and he was like, Tarun, no, there's things that you are missing. What is the rent that's taken care, but now what is the water bills there? What is the electricity bill there? What is the or how many people would you keep there? What is the night security? So all of these are things that we don't think of a lot, but if you say that you thought of that, that kind of proves the fact that you've thought so much more. It's not just that, okay, you have an idea and you said, okay, I need a warehouse, I need £1,000 every month, every year to spend. But then there are certain stuffs you have to talk about. What is the council tax? What is the VAT that you're paying? All of those are good. It might not be right. I'm completely fine that if, or I feel like it need not be right. Need not be 1,120 pounds. It could be £1,000. But the fact that you have thought of council tax, water bills, tax. So this is just an example. I'm just telling that this is the details that I feel financials should have, that could prove to the assessor that you have thought all of these sectors, all of these sections. You have to talk about vandalism. How much do you think the product would, or if it's a product company, but if it's a software company, I would say, okay, how much are you going to do marketing? But you have to also talk about, okay, what is the discount codes that you're giving, and how much would you give for discounts? How much would you give influencers because you need to advertise your market? How much would you give for your tech? So tech is very generic, but then you have to talk about, okay, how much are you paying for your server? How much are you? So all of those details have to be really thought in. You'll have to talk about interns and all of that, and that kind of tells the assessor that how much have you thought about your business. And if so, that's a very good way to put in. The finances is something that I would say has to be given quite good importance. Second thing that I would want to say, which I kind of made a mistake in the first time, was thinking about the competitors. Mentioning and talking about your competitors is really important. I really so the first time I said, okay, there's no one who's building electric trailers. This is the first time in the market, and one of the comment that I got from my assessor was, if no one is trying it, that means you're doing something wrong. Because why would not someone try that? And I understood that, yeah, that so that was a mistake that I did from my part, where I did not mention a lot of competitors. You have to go to competitors, you have to thoroughly understand why would they not do what you are doing, and you have to say why the market is different, how difficult is it for them to do what you are doing. So one example that I can take off is, like, because I talk about if it is like a platform for home cooks to sell food. The question, if I'm applying for innovator visa for that, I would definitely ask myself, why would maybe Just Eats or Uber Eats or Deliveroo not do this? Why would, or what would stop them? So I have to explain all of that, because that kind of tells you, why are you innovative, why are you holding your company better than they would. So if you feel, hey, my idea is really good, there's no one doing that, that's a risky bit. You'll have to say, why are they not doing it? So that competitor explanation is quite important, is what I feel. That's something that people miss out, especially when they say competitor analysis, they put a table which says, like, the tick and cross, tick and cross, tick and cross. I think that has to be given much more importance. It's not, it's an undervalued bit, but if you do that, it indirectly again tells the assessor that you have thought a lot about your idea. It's just not that I got an
Hmm.
idea, I wrote it, and I'm submitting. It kind of gives that impression that you have thought a lot about your idea, and why would competitors not come and eat you out alive? So that's something that you have to explain, you have to make sure that that's put in. And I would also say, please don't mention that there is no competitors. I went the wrong way, and I would say, never do that anymore. So
Yeah.
Slant, first time I did not have any competitor, the second time I did, I had 20 competitors. So that's the number. And
Wow.
every, I feel like 20 competitors might have not thought about their business model as much as I thought. So I went through one by one, and then I had a, like, Word document converted into PDF and uploaded it as competitor analysis, and said why each competitor would not do what I am doing.
Yeah.
So yeah, and what are the benefits? So that's something that I would say to anyone who's applying for an announcement letter.
I highly agree with everything that you've mentioned. I feel a lot of people, a lot of founders feel they don't have competitors, or they do that boxed sort of a traditional way of doing competitor analysis, which does not work today. Is something, again, Innovator International, Keith mentioned on the podcast as well, that go beyond that. So don't just tell us that you have all the green boxes and everyone else is like a red and a cross. Go beyond and do some research and write down about what you've understood about their model and how you are better than them, or how you're more efficient than them, less expensive than them, and things like that. But thank you for sharing that. That's very important.
Just adding to that, so maybe the hypothetical situation of what happens if they come into your market is something that, like, what happens if they decide to do the exact same thing that you are doing? Why would
Yeah.
you still survive or be alive, is something that you have to mention in your endorsement letters, is what I feel.
Right. You also mentioned about financials being very important, and I agree with that. But a lot of people don't know how to justify their financials. So, my first question would be: how does one know how much financials do they need to show in their business? How do they show it? And the second question, or the second part of this question, would be that when you say grants or any kind of investment that anyone has made into your business, whether it's an accelerator, whether it's some family or friends, is it necessary that that fund should be in your bank account, or is it necessary that you should have gotten that investment before your endorsement, or even letter of intents work?
Yes. So the first question is, how do you project your business and financials? So
Yeah.
I think it is, if you think of it, it is quite straightforward, because you know every month how much do you need. You know that, okay, for if you're a sole founder, you know that I need only £1,200 every month to survive myself. So that's 1,200. Then I need this much money for my backend. So that's the money that you need. So forecasting is not that difficult, but the difficulty is your business model or the business plan being supported by the financials. In your business model, you say that in the third month my marketing budget will be this much. You have to put that here in the marketing budget. But then what what people kind of miss out is, they say, by seventh month I'll have 1,000 customers. How did you get the 1,000 customers? You have to talk about that. You have to add that in your financials. You have to say, month one I do this, month two I do this, month three I do this, and thus I got this much. So this is my return on investment for my marketing budget. You have to talk about, okay, I'll have 7 products by then. How will you get that? You have to talk about, okay, you have to be shipped, you have to get a, like, ship, like your parcel or your product has to be shipped, so you have to think about shipping costs, you have to think about custom costs. So all of that has to be recorded really well. And I think sometimes you would, if you're not on a financial background, you'll definitely need some support on that side. So sometimes that's good to have someone from the accounting side to look in and say that you have not missed any points. So it's about how would the story that you have written in your business model link with the financials, and thus you can actually project your financials. So it's almost like a movie director. I always say, if you're writing a business plan, you close your eyes and then see how your journey is going. And I'm not telling think of the destination or climax. You have to think of first scene, second scene, third scene, fourth scene. So you assume all of that, and every scene, whenever there is a spend or your money, or if you send some money, write it down and then put it into your financial forecast. It's not hard if you can actually sit in a empty room, think of how you would see yourself in the next 3 years, and then you write down every point wherever your money spent would be, and then note it down. So when you say every money, I really mean every money, every penny that you would be spending. When you're a software company, you say that I want to buy a new laptop. Yes, note that down. In seventh month, you'll buy a new laptop because you have another team. You cannot just say that I'm hiring one person, one new person, because when you hire a new person in 1 year, you have to think of the minimum salaries that you give to that person in 1 year. So you have to see what is the appreciation of money that you have to think. You have to think, okay, are you going to give them a laptop? Are you going to give them an office space? When you say that my team is going to be fourfold, or say 5-member team, you have to have an office space. You say that, okay, 5 people, I am paying 1,500 into 5. Yes, that's my salary. But that's not how it is. You have to think of how much will you pay for your salary, how much is your training fee for these 5 members, because your team members have to be trained. You have to think of the first 6 months where they don't give you any input. You're training them, so you have to think of that training amount. So that's how detailed you have to go in financials. Next question is, do you have to have money to actually and apply for your endorsement letter? Which I would say no, because for us, fortunately, we had won a grant competition where they said we will be receiving certain amount of money. We do not have the money in our bank account, but we had a letter saying that, okay, we will be paying you this money. So that was from the West of England Combined Authority, WECA. So that's a government organization. So a government organization's letter which said, okay, we will pay, was good enough for my endorsement letter, because that kind of proved. So it was a claim back. So we claim and we get the money back. So that letter was sufficient for us. And for maybe an add-on to your question is, how much should I show in my account or bank accounts so that I can apply for an endorsement letter? There is, as most of you know, there is no fixed amount on how much you have to have. There's nothing that the Home Office or the endorsement body says. But I would say there is the minimum wages that you need for you to survive. It's just like how you apply for a university. But you have to show that I will be able to survive. I don't know how, but you have to show that. You can say that, okay, your parents are sponsoring. You have to show that. That's definitely have to be there. If you say I am a 3-member team, which is very good, but then you have to have three into say 1,500 every month for the next 2 years. Where is that money coming from? You can say that for the next 6 months I have the money, and then from 6 months I'll be talking to investors and I'll get money. But again, coming back to the first point that I said, you'll have to show proofs that you are talking to investors. You have to show letters or emails that you are having with investors. You cannot just say that, okay, in 6 months an investor will randomly come up and pay me £1 million. That's not how it works. So you have to show conversations with your investor. You have to talk about which investors that you're planning to invest in, or he's planning to invest in. So that's the proofs that we are talking about. It is hard. Again, startup is hard. Innovator Founder Visa is even harder, and the fruits that you get is really good. Innovator Founder Visa, I feel it's one of the most powerful visas that you can be here, because now you can start multiple companies. You can work simultaneously and elsewhere. You can also work in your own company. There's no limitations. All of that is good, and that good thing wouldn't come easily. If it was easy, a lot of people would have easily done that.
Exactly.
And
Yeah.
the government is trying to make it really hard for people to actually prove it. So you have to do that hard work, is what I feel.
Right. You said it's not easy, it's very hard, and if it was easy, anyone could have been on it. Do you think, or actually, I would change the question to who do you think it's for? Like, what kind of founders should think about applying for Innovator Founder?
Oh, that's a good question. So that's a question I have to think a little more, because I don't want to put one term and then like I don't want your audience to feel, oh no, that's not for me, because I might miss it. But in the front of my head, I think someone who really is very passionate about what you're doing. The perseverance is something that I feel you should do, because there can be an instance where you might have got rejected, but it's okay, because Innovator Founder Visa doesn't mean that you have to be in the UK to apply for the visa. You can still go back home, fix all of the mistakes, and then apply. So if you're really persistent, I think that's a unique characteristic that you have to have. But in terms of a business, I can maybe talk a little more about it, rather than saying, okay, what are the characteristics of a person, because there are so many characteristics, very good characteristics, because there could be a tech founder, there could be a business founder. So that's something that I'm not very, I wouldn't want to put a word out, but I would definitely say in a team, as a company, if your company, or if your team, or if your idea has a good team with you, like if there are people who can take the three or four verticals of your company, that's a company that you should definitely go. Like I would rather say, being a sole founder, it might be really hard when compared to being a team. So a team is really good. So that's one characteristic that I would say. A company that has people ready to pay, or people who have that market, or a company that has that market, is a very very good, or is in a very good state to apply for an endorsement letter. That's definite. I would also say that a company who is very much scalable for the community or for the country, where you can say that, okay, if I do this, it's not only in the UK, it's going to go outside UK and bring money into the UK. If your company, or if your idea is something that can do that, you're in a stage that I think you should definitely apply for an endorsement letter, because innovation is quite important, but at the same time, it's all about how much value can you bring to this country. And if your value that you can bring to this country is good, it's very good. I would say, okay, because I have been talking to a lot of people, and when they say, I want to do a business here and then take money to some other country, I don't think that's the way endorsement visas, or I mean Innovator Founder Visa works. I think for that you'll have to do the self sponsorship visa. That's a complete different route. For an invest or Innovator Founder Visa, it's more of, okay, how much good the community gets in. Can you create jobs? So if your company is not only you and your sole your partner, if there is like more jobs that you can create, I think that you're in a good state, or that's a good company to actually apply for an endorsement letter.
And thank you for highlighting the fact that the problem should not be just UK related or London related or Manchester related. It has to be able to scale eventually, and it is something that people in other parts of the world also face and consider a problem, isn't it?
Exactly. Like because there are some people who have actually come in and gave me very good ideas. I don't say the ideas are bad. They have very good ideas. That's based in, like, it worked very well in India. Why that's not here in the UK? Let me start it here. It's good, but then the question is, why would the Indian company not decide to come here and do it? So that's a big thing that you have to think of. And also, what is the difference that you bring in this country, so that that new business model can expand from this country as a product of this company, this country. So
Yeah.
that's something that you have to think of. Like, I would take an example of Airbnb started in the US for the US people, but then they knew that it could scale off throughout the world. So those kind of companies should definitely go for an endorsement letter, is what I feel.
Yeah.
That's my personal thought, but I'm pretty sure like other people in the podcast could have given very good insights about what are the types of companies and people. I would also maybe highlight a little about if in terms of viability, there is this portion where, or this section where they also check, not regarding the money but also regarding the talent of the founder. So that's a
Yeah.
very crucial part. So if you are non-techie background, if you don't know anything about computer science, and then you say that I want to start an AI based company, they wouldn't trust you. They wouldn't trust you. So if you want to start something that is really tech oriented, and then if you have no idea about engineering, please don't start that. At the same side, the other side, if you're developing a fintech company, if you're doing something related to marketing, and if you have a degree in maybe biology, there is no way you are going to get that visa, because you're not viable to, or you'll not be able to do that off. But that doesn't mean that you're not supposed to apply for. If you have a good team, and if you have the project management skills to manage a team, and then you are the CEO of the company, then that there are chances that, because now you have the whole connection, you have the whole team, and you can bring the viability in. So that's something that I would say. And again, the other part that I kind of observed was, experience in the market is something that they look in. It's almost like applying for a job. Do you have experience in this market that you're thinking of? You cannot randomly think of. For me, I cannot even think of a health related app, because I have no idea about medical industry or anything of that sort. I cannot say that I want to build a AI for uh, health care workers, because that's not me and that's not a sector that I am interested in. So that relationship between your business and you is really crucial, is what I feel.
Right. Thank you for highlighting that one more time, because I was just about to ask you, what do you think the endorsing bodies are looking in the founder, because that's a very important part of viability. Are you the right person to start this business? And another important distinction that I advise founders to make is, number one, what is your contribution to the business, whatever your skills and whatever experience you've got. And the second one is, how are you an entrepreneur? Also highlight your entrepreneurial skills. Don't just talk about, okay, this was my degree, this is what I know, and this is what I've learned, or these are the certifications I've got. But as a leader, as a founder, how can you lead this project? How can you execute it from an ideation stage to whatever your service or product is? And how will you be hiring and firing? And how will you develop that culture? I mean, it's very easy to write mission of the business plan and vision of the business plan, but it's very difficult to execute that. And only a true founder and a leader can do that. And it comes with practice as well, but it's important to highlight that in your business plan, I feel.
Shivika, that's completely right, and I think thank you for mentioning that. That's very very crucial. They'll ask and they'll try to find out how good are you in the entrepreneur skill sets that you hold.
Yeah.
That you have not only about a team. Do you have a team, and can you lead a team? And because when you talk about the journey, when you talk about the business plan, they should see you actually going from there to here, and for that you have
Yeah.
to also sell yourself. That's quite important. There are some situations where the founder might have not been very confident, and that was the only reason why that might have got rejected. Is have been instances. So the confidence in you by you is something very 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 important.
I asked this question to Chris Diaz as well, who's an immigration solicitor, and launched this free assessment tool for Innovator Founder Visa endorsements, which is really cool.
I did see that. I was like, wow, that's the. So I've been already like sending people or people who message me on LinkedIn. I'm like, see this podcast. I mean, the video
Yeah.
that you sent. So that's really good. That's a cool product.
I know. I'm so glad he did something like that. And I wish that had existed all these years, because so many founders would have used it to, assess their ideas, whether it's viable or scalable or innovative. So he's done a great job with
Exactly,
that.
and I think this is where I first like, okay, this is an innovative product. The product is not very smart, but there's a
Yeah.
market. I feel like I want to do it
Yes.
one more time just to see how the app works. So I'm happy to do that payment, because I feel that's the innovation that I was actually talking about when I started the whole podcast. Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's really cool. And for an MVP, I think he's done a great job with that. And I'm really looking forward to what it turns out to be in the future. He's already in conversation with like the Home Office and other endorsing bodies and other important key partners for this. And I'm really looking forward to how it turns out to be in the future. But one question that I had asked Chris, but I will ask you as well, because you have been an international student and you can probably advise better, is how can students prepare better during their university time or during their graduate route to be able to apply for the Innovator Founder? I mean, he did mention that they should get some work experience and internships. According to you, what can they do that can help them prepare better as founders, and then again to become like entrepreneurs and be viable for that business idea?
Oh, that's a very good question. Let me maybe take some points from my studentship, because uh, I was fortunate enough to have a very good team. I would want to highlight that a lot. Being an international student, you come up with a lot of international experiences and all of that, but having a good local team was a big win for me, because me coming into the UK, I had no contacts, no one to actually be support, like falling on to. So my team here was like, we were 5 members. When Slant started, we were 5 members, out of which we are actually 2 of us now, even now continuing, 3 of us. The 3 of them, they're still supporting us. They're still having like supporting in a very offline manner. So having and building that team and bringing out and doing something is really really crucial. I would say that as a student who really wants that innovator founder visa, I would say that, okay, you work for your part-time jobs to make your own money. That's definitely supposed to be there. At the same time, I would also say that, yeah, you have to focus on your studies. And along with that, if you can actually pull off something on your idea and then do something, so again, coming back to my same point about, can you prove things, can you do some tests, getting the whole team work, and I would say maybe after the student visa you can actually register a company. Maybe you cannot trade or you cannot start trading it, but still you can register a company, do some kind of testings, and all of that can actually be a very 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 good thing. But at least that's one thing that helped me a lot. When I say grants application, I had no idea that there's something called grant. Grant is something that I came to know through my co-founders. They have been doing that. They know the local committee and communities, and they know how to. They have that advantage, so we have to take or make use of that advantage by giving what we can do from our side as well. So building that team is something that I would say definitely. Testing out your idea and your product is something that I would definitely go forward with. Do it in a very MVP model. That's what I would say. Any idea, just test it out, just get someone to pay, just get someone to use your idea and then pay them back. Don't make it very formal. Just say and prove that, okay, your idea is worth going and pursuing. That's something that I would say. And again, as a student, I would definitely, as you were mentioning, go for internship, get some experiences, so that that kind of builds your CV and resume, because your CV is something that the endorsement body really inspects a lot. So they'll see what have you done, do you have the experience and expertise to do what you have told in your business plan. So that's something that I would definitely, yes, support.
Amazing. Another question that I would like to ask you is, tell me a little bit about ARun Consultancy. What inspired you to do that, and what are the services you guys provide?
Thank you for asking that question. So, as I was telling, the curves when you fall down as a startup is really hard. So we wanted to make sure that that doesn't fall that big. So we want to make it go a little more smoother for startup people, like people who are interested in the startups. So my expertise is more on testing your product, getting the proofs. So anything that I spoke about proofs is my expertise, and I love doing that. I can give you the most easiest way to prove anything that you just said. So that's what I can do. So I started I thought, okay, that's what a lot of startup founders are finding it hard to. They wait for the final product, and by then they are too late to identify that it's too late. So I kind of, to people who I talk to, I want to help them do that. And that's where I thought, okay, I should help people. And on the other side, Artemis, he's really good in finance, he's really good in grant writing, raising money, building, talking about money, talking about the whole idea. Artemis is really good. So we knew that this combo is something that a lot of startups are finding it hard to solve, and I was fortunate to have that perfect combo. This was a very good discussion with Artemis. We were like, okay, how can we do something to the community? We haven't reached anywhere, but some, at least, what can we do? And that's where Arun came in. Arun is basically starting off AR, Artemis, and UN from Tarun. So that's how it is. But
I
eventually it
thought
became an
so.
Indian name. And now some people did say that, okay, it sounds very fake and sounds like a scam. But I was like, no, that's just our names coming out together. So and yeah, so what we do is we kind of consult, or we kind of spend 1 hour. So we have decided that every week 5 hours is for the community. However, somehow we can help people. So we have been getting a lot of requests and a lot of people talking to us about their ideas, and we kind of give them ideas on how to financially forecast or financially tell what your business goes in. And also I kind of guide or consult them on how to prove their points, how to prove what they think they know or want to do. So that's what Arun does. And right now we have also been reviewing certain. So I think after the MVP tool that you were just mentioning about, if your idea is innovative, scalable, and viable, I think the Arun consultancies is not going to be as important as that we thought we would be, because the tool might do way better job than what we do. But yeah, we are the non AI version of that. So we kind of tell them, okay, what are the things that you're missing, because endorsement letter applications are quite expensive, 1,000 plus 200 if you have a VAT as well. It's expensive, and the final answer is going to be yes or no. It's not like, okay, if you improve this, I'll give you an endorsement letter. That's not how it works, right? It's a true or false kind of a thing, or yes, you get it, or you don't get it. So you lose 1,200 if, and the whole point might be, okay, you missed out these points. So we want to help them make sure that, yeah, your idea is good. So that's what we do.
You're also a faculty member at the University of West London. How are
Yes.
you managing this? Like, you have these companies you're launching. You've got the Innovator Founder Visa, so you have to be working on it constantly and you have to be innovative every single day, kind of. And then you have this role. So, how do you balance this? And also, how did you land this job role, first of all?
Oh, so this is something that people ask me a lot. So how do I manage? Basically, I think I work 7 days a week. It's about like if you can actually put your time right, you will be able to solve it. So yeah, in terms of the job here as like a faculty here at University of West of England, I that's actually helping me because it kind of pays certain bills, because being startups you don't get paid enough that you think you should
Yeah.
be. So yeah, to get the bills taken care, University of West of England is actually supporting me in that side. And I work on a part-time basis, so I work only like 7 hours a week on the university teaching side, and then the remaining it's all about startups. So it kind of helped me pay my rent, and then there's certain loans that I have to pay off. So that's taken care by that full-time job, and then the startups. Yeah, and it's all about like hard work. I wouldn't want to boast myself it's about hard work, but I feel like if you rest, I think it might be hard for you to get your ideas out of the ground. It might be just in the starting bit. If you just put your time all into that, I think people can put it off. It's not very hard. It's just it's just that making sure that you don't have any free time to waste. It's more of okay, do something kind of a thing. So
Oh, that's sweet. What are the three lessons that you tell your students about entrepreneurship?
ah so I teach electrical electronics, but still I love entrepreneurship because I enjoy doing that. So I give I don't know three, but let me try to put in. So one thing that I always say is entrepreneurship is hard. It is not easy. So
Yeah.
I kind of tell them, okay, entrepreneurship sounds very fancy, but it's not fancy. It you'll have hard times, and hard times are real bad hard times. So I kind of tell that to them for sure. Second thing is you never have a final or a very good looking product. Don't wait for that product that you have in your mind to start launching it. Come, like, I love the MVP concept. So don't wait for that end product. Just do what you do, because like this is a cliche thing that everyone have been telling, but yeah, even iPhone or big companies, they have still not perfected, or they have not made the best product ever that they can make. So
Yeah.
whatever you have in your hand right now is the best product. Just do it, just do it, just do it. That's what I would say. Like even if a Tiffit, it was just because when the idea came in, I did not even have a website. I just did it through WhatsApp, made a WhatsApp group and asked a lot of people to join in, and then started selling or like connecting home cooks to the platform. So that's how and I think that's what you have to do as an entrepreneur. Like, you have to just get things done as soon as possible, as early as possible. Don't wait for the final product. If you think I need 1 more month to do something, you could have done 7 other products in that 1 month time. So get whatever possible outside. That's the second thing that I would say. And the third thing that I would say is build a team is really really important. And I would say, to answer your first question, if I'm getting two companies running parallelly, it's all because of my team that I have with me. So Slant, the business side, Artemis takes care. Mechanical side, there's Rishi who takes care. So, and Tiffit, I have a good team there as well. Janani takes care of the finances. I have Hari who's taking care of the technical side. So it's all about team. So if you have a good team and if you can work as a team, that's something that I would always want. So build teams, build friends, network as much as possible.
Beautiful. What are my next question would be that what are some of the emerging technologies that you would recommend to any new founder that they should get hands-on experience with or just quickly pick up because times are changing now?
Times are so changing that if I say this, or if I say something right now, day after tomorrow, if someone is watching your podcast, they'll be like, "Oh, that's outdated." So that's how
Yeah.
fast you're going.
Mhm.
But I would say, of course, the AI, and I did see certain videos of yours where you were explaining about AI. They're really good. I think make use of AI. I know most of your audience would definitely know this. AI is not going to take jobs, but people who know to use AI is going to take your job. That's all that you have to do. Think of, it's learn to use AI the best form and best way possible. Make sure that you are working smart in those aspects. Don't spend a lot of time just doing repetitive tasks, try to use AI agents and things like that. That's something that I would say. But if you ask me as a overall, what do you have to do? Just be updated, or else you'll get outdated. It's not like olden times where if you know a concept, you are top. No, because that doesn't work anymore. You have to be updated in every possible way.
Right. One advice to any immigrant founder: we're both immigrant founders. We know the journey is hard, and we're balancing a lot of things. There's rents, there's visa deadlines, there's the pressure to be innovative and not just run a business because it's a business. What is that one advice? Firstly, what is that one reality check that you would like to give an immigrant founder? And what is that one advice you would like to give them? How do they balance this whole thing without saying, I give up and I'm going back now?
Hmm. So the reality check, I think I've been highlighting it so much that it is hard, it is difficult. So that's something that they have to understand. If it is easy, I think it would have been much way popular than it is. So if you want to be different, it is hard, and you have to keep pushing yourself.
Yeah.
But I would say that UK is a land of opportunities. This is something that people will maybe disagree to me, but I would say this place is a land of opportunities. Any door you see, or when one door closes, I would say 100 doors open. And especially if you're working hard, that 100 doors are just next to you. It's not that you have to run for the 100 doors, it's just around you. So like I would want to highlight this more than possible, like grants, all the networking, all the local community supporting you to build something. I might be blessed to be in here in Bristol, because Bristol is really good in that. Any day you go outside and go into a pub or something, you'll see a networking event happening. It's not that it's just a pub function or just wasting time. It's a lot of networking events. There's so much happening around. If you're okay with networking, you'll have so much opportunities. And yeah, this place is really good with opportunities. And I feel it's not as hard as it is in India to get fundings and opportunities here. It's quite easier than, or the competition is a little less when compared to other countries, and this place is actually helping. I do see that, yeah, investability for product companies are a little hard. That's a different story for a different day. But yeah, certain times you feel this country is actually supporting in a very, very good way.
I have thoroughly enjoyed this conversation, and I'm so glad that this was part of my day because I got to learn so much. And I'm always excited about startup conversations, what someone's doing, how did they come about it, and how did they overcome the challenges and what they're up to now. And also the fact that how they're leaving an impact as they've come to the stage where they're at. So thank you so much, Tarun, for joining me on my podcast. It's been a pleasure. I've got to learn so much. I was making notes in my head, and while I will edit this podcast, I'm going to make further notes. So I truly enjoyed it. Any final words from your end?
Well, thank you, Shavika. Thank you so much for having me in the podcast. And of course, I would like, if you give me an opportunity, I would have a second podcast with you. But this time, I'll ask you questions, because I'm pretty sure your audience would really want to know how your journey was. And rather than you just telling the story, I would definitely, if you have questions coming up, I'm happy to like maybe do the podcast the other way, which I was not very confident when you called me for the podcast, but now I think it's comfortable. So that's you've been
Isn't
a very
it?
good
Yeah, it's
host
like
as
a
well.
chill
So
conversation where I'm just getting to know you as a founder and as a person. So, yeah,
thank you so much. Thank you for having me, and all the very best for all of your audience. And I'm pretty sure you guys, whatever you have in mind, that's gonna reach soon. Just keep pushing yourself. The one
yes,
character
yeah.
that you as a founder, or you as a entrepreneur, you have to have is persistence. Just keep pushing, and you will reach there. So yes,
Thank
thank
you.
you very much. Thank you everyone for listening to us talk. But yeah, thank you so much. Then
Thank you so much for joining me once again. And definitely, we'll talk about the next podcast where we could talk about probably my journey this time.
yes, definitely. Our audience are actually waiting to listen to that. Like, how did you come to the UK, and what are you doing right now, and how is your journey? Something that we would definitely want to know.
Yeah, that'll be nice. But thank you for joining me today. And yes, I will speak to you on the other side now.
Thank you.